Hey gamers, Minus10 here. DrunkDeer is a keyboard designer and manufacturer that has been pushing the envelope in regards to building very solid gaming keyboards with adjustable magnetic switches at very affordable prices. Recently, DrunkDeer launched the G75 as a successor to its A75, and I've been maining this keyboard for the past several weeks to game and work. Now, after 2+ weeks of heavy use, I have some opinions on the G75, so keep on watching to hear my views. Now, before we begin, I do want to note that I purchased the DrunkDeer G75 with my own money, and all the opinions in this review are mine and mine alone. So, with that out of the way, let's jump in. The DrunkDeer G75 is a wired 75% keyboard layout that incorporates the very trendy adjustable magnetic switches. DrunkDeer's adjustable magnetic switches can be set to actuate between 0.2 millimeters to 3.8 with 0.1 millimeter increments. Rapid trigger is also integrated, and its reset sensitivity can be set from 0.1 to 3.6 millimeters, again with 0.1 millimeter increments. The G75 also added the release dual trigger mode, which I believe is DrunkDeer's version of the Razer Snap Tap mode. Now, this new gaming keyboard feature has become very controversial in the gaming community, and some games consider it cheating. Interestingly, on DrunkDeer's web app Antler, there's really no way to turn this feature off, so use this keyboard at your own risk. For the G75 switches, well, there isn't much on DrunkDeer's website, but DrunkDeer says their adjustable switches have multiple possibilities for tactile or clicky sensations. In the pre-order package I received, gamers can swap out the springs with 42, 55, or 69 gram springs. As for the keycaps, they are made from PBT material and are not shine through. Regarding the sound absorption design, DrunkDeer has a unique feature that floats the switch plate and 2 layers of sound absorption material in a shock absorbing tray mount. It's pretty interesting, and we'll cover this later. The keyboard is locked at an 8K polling rate, so it's a wired-only keyboard. Now, this makes perfect sense for 8K polling, but if your preference is a 2.4 GHz wireless dongle, you aren't going to like this keyboard. Another benefit of being always plugged in is the RGB is very bright with lots of options. Now, in today's market, gamers don't really need to spend hundreds of dollars to buy a keyboard with a decent typing experience. The G75's Amazon retail price is $150, but gamers can save $40 if you buy it directly from DrunkDeer's website. For over 2 weeks, I gamed and worked on the G75, and it's a very pleasant keyboard to type out the work emails and to game on. Now, do note, the switches are on the heavier side, but DrunkDeer doesn't list the gram pressure for the stock springs. My pre-order purchase did arrive with additional spring options that are rated at 42, 55, and 69 grams, and I believe this is what it would require to bottom out the switch. I don't know. All that said, you would have to replace the springs, and that's a lot of work. As for the sound, DrunkDeer's shock-absorbing tray mount is an interesting design choice, and it gives the keyboard a reasonably quiet typing sound, but it doesn't approach the thok us keyboard enthusiasts prefer. But at $110, the sound is good enough and its typing experience is well above average. Working on the DrunkDeer G75 is a solid and good experience. Hey, a quick commercial for my channel. If you find this content useful for your purchasing decisions, please hit that like button as it really helps out my channel. If you would like to follow me as a content creator, click that subscribe button below to get notifications on when my videos post. All right, back to the review. The other aspect of the tray mount is the keyboard has a lot of flex. Now, this is a personal preference, and I really didn't notice it one way or the other while gaming or working, but it definitely has an impact on the sound. The keyboard feet also are flexible, but if you move the keyboard even slightly, these feet almost always collapse, and I found this to be very annoying. Lastly, DrunkDeer states on its website that the keyboard has a screwless snap structure that reduces the co-vibration between the shell and the inner liner to reduce noise. Now, this may be so, but the reason for no screws is cost. I mean, there's no need to sugarcoat it. The keycaps are PBT and feel fine with just enough grit on the surface to please the fingertips and keep the grease glare out of the equation. My pre-order purchase came with replacement keycaps for the spacebar, escape, and enter keys, but these keycaps are way too gamerish, and I didn't really like the glossy feel. The pre-order package also came with a hard surface wrist rest, but I prefer wrist rest with some give. Since the G75 is a wired keyboard, the RGB is plenty bright, and even though the keycaps are not shine through, the G75 adds a lot of RGB bling. I use the DrunkDeer Antler Webapp to change my lighting, but gamers can also use a number of shortcuts to make adjustments. Even though the box claims there's an online user manual, the barcode takes gamers to a website without a G75 manual. So the only way to remember the shortcuts is you got to keep the box. DrunkDeer's web app, Antler, does allow gamers to set the actuation and release points for rapid trigger, which I do believe is a solid advantage in first-person shooter games. But it doesn't appear there's a way to turn off the release dual trigger mode. If this is always on, be sure you know if your game bans this feature. The keystroke tracking option is a nice feature of Antler, but it only records the time a key is pressed, where I wish it would provide the gram pressure a gamer is exerting. The keyboard is a good size for a 75% layout and not overly large. The G75 is just over 12.5 inches in length, about 5.5 inches wide, and 1.2 inches thick in the back and 0.7 inches in the front. The DrunkDeer G75 weighs in at 845 grams. At $110 when on sale, the G75 has shortcomings. It's not a flagship type of keyboard. However, there are a couple annoying features. As I mentioned earlier, the keyboard feet will collapse with almost any movement. This could impact your gaming session when you get into heated battles. The other design choice I really didn't care for is the rubbery dual edge framing. It doesn't look or feel nice, but I suspect DrunkDeer included this to cover up the snapping joints. So to wrap this all up, the DrunkDeer G75 is a very solid keyboard at its price point, and it's an easy recommend. It's also the only keyboard I've used with adjustable magnetic switches at this very low price. Now, the gripes I have with the keyboard feet and the rubbery edge, they're minor, but these are things you need to consider. So if you're a gamer on a tight budget, the DrunkDeer G75 should absolutely be on your consideration list. Keep this video rolling if you want to hear the G75 sound and see what comes in the box. Thanks for watching.